All right, good evening, Earth. This is Adam Sturch broadcasting from the Mushroom Mansion, Taos, New Mexico, working on oil painting as of yet unnamed. I kind of got an idea for the theme of this, but I'm not quite sure what I want to do with the title yet. So I'm just going to play with some Prussian blue on the nice bright white surface. And after I throw down a little mineral spirits to
well, actually, yes, he's
gesso
18
the
last
surface.
week. That's why we're doing this pilgrimage. It's to his birthday. And so I said, okay, well, you can have it then, she said, and she gave it to him. She said, but it won't be so much fun now it's legal, she said. Anyway, we had a blissful day this year, and since there are something like 45 cathedrals in England, this is a formula that can go on and on. This is in fact, I was doing one just yesterday. We're developing a series of one-day routes, the British Pilgrimage Trust, and I'm helping with this. And I was helping with a group of us in Nottinghamshire developing a new route, a new old route to Southwell Cathedral, which is the Cathedral of Nottinghamshire. I had absolutely, I just got off the train to come here. I got mud, I'm afraid, from the pilgrimage, but it's a wonderful practice, and it's something you can do with friends or families or on your own, or you can do it in a group. The British Pilgrimage Trust arranges groups doing it. And one of the slogans of the British Pilgrimage Trust for groups doing pilgrimages is, bring your own beliefs. So it's not about, again, it's not about you've got to sign up to a belief system first. Many people who go to Santiago are not practicing Christians, some are even atheists, but it's an expression of a spiritual quest, which anyone can take part in. So this is another spiritual practice which is open to everybody, and I strongly recommend it if any of you feel inclined to do this. You can do either long ones, there's an 18-day route to Canterbury from Winchester, or there's these one-day pilgrimages, 5 or 6 miles, or if you do the whole day, 7 or 8 miles, to cathedrals and other holy places here in Britain. Well, that's a summary of some of the spiritual practices I discuss in my book. And it gives you a flavour. There are only 7 spiritual practices in this book. I'm writing a second book, a sequel with another 7. I'm not going to go on beyond that. 14 is enough as examples. But there are many other spiritual practices too. And these are all practical things you can actually do. And they're all things which have measurable effects which can be studied scientifically. So there's no conflict here between science and spiritual practice. In fact, I think that they mutually reinforce each other, because the scientific studies illuminate these practices and also show us statistically what benefits they can have. And the practices themselves can be helped through the science, and you could meditate more effectively if you know more about the science behind it. And particularly in spiritual practices associated with psychedelic drugs, they're extremely science dependent, especially the ones that depend on modern synthetic drugs as opposed to herbal brews. So I think we're entering an era where science and spiritual practices can be seen as complementary rather than in any sense contradictory. And personally I find that very helpful, because I myself do all the spiritual practices I discuss in this book. I'm also a practicing scientist and spend most of my time in research. And I personally don't experience a conflict between them at all. And I think that they illuminate a way forwards for many of us who've grown up in a very secular society, an unprecedentedly secular society, in fact, but not one that is spiritually inert at all. There's a kind of ferment of spirituality going on at the moment, and I think we're actually on the threshold of a new phase of spiritual evolution. Thank you. Yes, so if you'd like to ask a question or make a point, Ask Neil, not me. He's going to choose who does it. I'm just going to talk. He's going to have the hard decisions. Yes.
Hello, everybody. You talked about gratitude in the beginning, and I would like to show my gratitude to you for the trialogues that you did with Terence. I was inspired by it very much, so thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, thank you. Those were, for those who haven't seen them, I did a long series of trialogues with two very good friends, Terence McKenna, who was an explorer of psychedelic use of psychedelic shamanism, and Ralph Abraham, who is a chaos mathematician from the University of California in Santa Cruz. Terence sadly died in the year 2000. Ralph's still alive and we still meet on a regular basis. But these were some of the most exciting conversations I've ever had. And we used to spend several days together every year, just talking. The first 10 years, we just talked. The next 10 years before Terence died, various friends said, oh, you must record these. And so they were recorded. There was about 30 of these online on my website, and there are 3 or 4 on YouTube that were also filmed. But our aim in those conversations was to go where, without a particular agenda, just seeing where it would lead. And because they were both such exciting people to talk to, they were immensely stimulating. And it's wonderful that people can still listen to them now, years later, and they trigger off conversations for many other people too, which is, I'm sure, what Terence would have been really pleased to know if he was still with us.
I'm just a very quick continuation of what he said, because throughout your talk, and you've just brought up an enormous sense for me of wanting to dance. So I just wanted to thank you.
Are there any future plans where you may want to go on stage with conversations that you have with other people about your experiences?
Pardon? Any?
Do you have any plans to do like public conversations with the people that you...
Well, I do actually already. I have a series of podcasts with Mark Vernon, who's a very good friend. We've done over 30, and we're meeting next week to do the next couple. I've done this whole series with Matthew Fox, who some of you may know of, and again, those are on my website, and several with Mark Andrus, who's the Anglican Bishop of California at Grace Cathedral, who's a great friend of mine. And those conversations are particularly helpful because he's very open to the idea of using cathedrals in a new and more adventurous way, and we're discussing all sorts of ways in which this could happen, since they are places which are designed to induce experiences that take you beyond yourself.
Hello, thank you for bringing so much erudition to the science and spirituality conversation. I had a question around awareness and whether you think it's possible to be aware without having an object of awareness. And two, from a spiritual perspective, it isn't worshipping of any sort of entity like Brahman or God or whatever, just simply worshipping of awareness. Thank you.
Yes, well, I think that some people in a state of meditation, most of the time when I meditate, there's a constant stream of thoughts, and I go back to my mantra. But there are periods when the thoughts stop, and even the mantra stops, and then there's just this sense of being in a state of awareness. And in my case, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's a wonderful experience. And I think many people achieve that state of being through meditation. Some people have spontaneous mystical experiences. I mean, I've had quite a few myself, which just come on unbidden. And again, there's this sense of this conscious presence that one's in some vastly greater consciousness than one's own. And again, there's this sense that it's conscious. This ultimate ground of being is essentially conscious. So I think that again, is an experience. And I think actually all religions start from that experience of conscious presence. And the Buddha didn't become enlightened through doing a PhD at SOAS. He became enlightened through spending years meditating, learning from yogis and sitting under trees and meditating. Jesus didn't have his sense of being part of the divine nature through studying at a rabbinical seminary. I mean, it came to him through this near-death experience of baptism and through other prayer and meditation and other
Alright, well that came together pretty quickly.
So I think that all religions
that's
start from this sense
pretty
of
good
connection
bones
with a direct,
for
greater form of
the
consciousness
gist
than our own.
of the
But we're not
idea
always in that state of
hacked into
illuminated
place
awareness.
there.
And I think many
I think I'm going to call
of
it
the
Lonely
religious and
Summer.
spiritual practices are about connecting
Or something like
to
that.
it,
I don't know.
worshipping,
Debating on
paying
titles
homage
and
to, or
phrases.
praying to.
But that's it for the moment.
A state of
So
consciousness
thanks for
which
watching.
is
That's
there
Adam
all the
Sturch
time,
podcasting from the
and
Mushroom
in all
Mansion,
of
Taos,
us,
New
but
Mexico.
which we normally
Working on an
separated
oil
from
painting,
by our mundane
still as of yet
concerns.
unnamed. Have a
So
good
I
night.
guess I think the ultimate